Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to all the new faces. I know I have several new subscribers since my last video, so thank you guys, that's awesome. I really appreciate the support and I'm glad to have you here. And I really hope you like Halloween because we are going to be talking about Halloween candles for the foreseeable future here. So if you do like Halloween, you are in the right place. We're going to be kicking things off with an in-depth review of Cabin in the Woods. This is one of 12 new fragrances that Kringle Candle is launching as part of their Part 1 Halloween launch. There will also be 8 returning fragrances in this launch. And then at a later date, which I believe is August 15th, we will have a Part 2 launch. But I have no information on that yet, and we're not going to waste time talking about that here. So we will get into that at a later date. But focusing here on Part 1, 12 new, 8 returning. I will have the full list in the description of this video if you're just kind of getting caught up on all things Kringle Halloween. I will also have the link to my preview video in there. So if you just want a kind of a general overview of what's going to be offered, I do have a first impressions video where I talk about the 12 new fragrances that are coming out just a little bit. But beware that if you watch that, some of my feelings have changed since filming. As I've gotten into the burn of these candles, there has been a little bit of evolution here. There has been a little bit of shifting in my feelings on some of them. So beware of that. But I will have that information for you here in the description. And before we get into my actual review, I do need to let you guys know, and in case you're wondering why I have this candle already, even though it's not available, I am a Kringle Candle ambassador, and they did send me the new candles here as a gift of PR, however you want to term it, but they were sent to me for my review to talk about ahead of the launch. Put some reviews out there, help you guys decide what you want to spend your money on, if you want to spend your money. I'm not here to sell you. I'm just kind of here to help guide you in what might be the best fit for you. So thank you guys for, trusting me in that and trusting my judgment here. I really do keep my reviews honest. If I like something, I let you know. If I'm not loving it, I will let you know as well. So if you've been with me for a while, I hope you know that already. But if you are new, I hope you will see that over the course of the 12 reviews that I'm going to be doing. I have some highs and some lows, and we will get into all of it. And if you are going to be shopping the launch as part of my affiliation, I do have a discount code that you are welcome to use. It is a commissioned code. So anytime you use my code, Simply Scented, you will get 15% off your purchase, but I do get a small commission based on those purchases, so please only use it if you're comfortable, and I thank you in advance if you do plan to use it for this launch. I really appreciate the support. If you've ever used my code, I thank you. It really does make a difference. I know there's a lot of great ambassadors, so when you choose me, it does mean something to me, so thank you for that. But I think that's all we had to really get through here for housekeeping, and now we can kind of get back into our review here for Cabin in the Woods. All right, so if you are new to my reviews, generally what I do is I will give you Kringle's scent notes, and then I will get into my interpretation of the scent, what notes stand out the most to me, anything that pops into my head that I feel like might help you decide if it's something you would enjoy or not. And then we will get into the actual burn performance, strength, if there was any wick issues, all of that. That's kind of the format I run in here. And for this particular review, you're looking at about 25 hours or so of burn time, which is kind of towards the midway point here. I should have mentioned before, these are all going to be 22 ounces of 100% soy white wax inside of these black jars. All of the candles in this launch are going to be in this format. And I believe Kringle quotes the burn time on these of up to 100 hours. So there's different factors that kind of play into how much burn time you're going to get out of your candles, how long you burn, whether you use a hurricane and all of that. So for me, this is about 25 hours or so. I think this is my 6th burn tonight. And I usually like to get a little bit more burn time before I do a full review. But in the interest of time, I'm running out of it quickly and I have a whole lot of candles to get through. I feel like I've got a good, pretty good grasp on this one. So we're just going to go for it. And this will probably be about the range that I review most of these in for this launch. So that's that. Let's get into the notes. For Cabin in the Woods, we have a top note of golden saffron, mid notes of rose, black truffle, and crocus flower, base notes of patchouli, vanilla, agarwood, and oakmoss. In my first impressions, I talked a little bit about this scent being sort of unexpected for this packaging, for this concept, Cabin in the Woods. For me, and this is entirely subjective, but I was thinking when I saw Cabin in the Woods, this is going to be some sort of foresty, woodsy, tree-focused scent, maybe with some sort of smoky element in there. But really what this fragrance is, at its essence, this is an earthy, complex, floral sort of candle. And when I say floral, it's not a spring floral to me. There's enough earthiness here that it makes it still feel fall and Halloween-like. However, it's just, for me, unexpected for this concept. But now that you guys know that, going into this and you look at the notes, you can kind of tell this is not a tree-focused candle. For what it is, what this reminds me of is witches or a witch's house. If you picture like that scene from Hocus Pocus where there's, the 3 witches standing around the big cauldron and they're brewing up their potion. That's kind of what this candle brings to my mind. And oh my goodness, if you are not familiar with that scene in Hocus Pocus, you haven't watched that movie, please just turn off this review right now and go watch it. But joking aside, that's where this kind of takes me. I think the one main element that makes that connection for me here is the patchouli in this. The patchouli in this fragrance for me is reminiscent of the patchouli of the very iconic Yankee Candle Witch's Brew. That fragrance, which I feel like most of you have probably smelled it at some point in your life, especially if you're a Halloween fan. Yankee Candle Witch's Brew, it's very potent, very strong, over the top sort of patchouli, like it just hits you in the face. The way the patchouli note in this this fragrance here translates to me is somewhat similar to that. It's got a very sort of bright pop to it. And I think that's why my brain sort of goes to witches. So again, that could be subjective, but that's what I'm getting from this candle. In my initial burn, I felt like that patchouli was very, very powerful. Probably the most dominant piece of this fragrance in that initial burn. I also got a lot of vanilla, which I thought was kind of unusual. It didn't really seem like that was meant to be at the forefront. And I was also getting a lot of rose in that initial burn. But like I always say in those first impression videos, things can change as they burn down, and this one did evolve a bit. What happened for me, I feel like that patchouli element decreased. It's still present here now midway into this candle, but I don't feel like it's nearly as powerful as it was at the beginning. I do feel like it still kind of keeps its tone. It still has that sort of witch's brew sort of patchouli to it, but it's not nearly as strong as it was originally. I also feel like that vanilla that felt almost out of place decreased and came back to the base of this candle as more of a grounding element and made a lot more sense once that happened. The other thing here is the rose. Now that came up in its presence. That became more powerful, came to the forefront of this fragrance. And for me, the rose here, if you think along the lines of a decaying rose, which might sound weird, but we're talking Halloween fragrance, so I don't think it's that weird, I guess, in terms of this. But if you think of a decaying rose, that stage of almost like where it's drying out and the edges, the outer petals are becoming like crunchy and dry, but maybe the inside still has a little bit of the moisture to it. I feel like at that sort of point in the decaying process, the rose gives off this very pungent, sort of distinct smell. So if you've ever had those fresh cut flowers on your counter, maybe you know what I'm talking about if you've let them sit there a little bit too long. But it has sort of a unique sort of decaying smell to it. That's kind of the rose element I get here. And the thing that I think is giving it that sort of decaying piece is that black truffle, the base here of that oak moss, and maybe even a little bit of the saffron here. Like those are all sort of earthy elements, but especially that black truffle, I feel like it's just kind of adding that earthy element to the rose where it becomes more of distinctly a fall rose, a distinctly Halloween type rose. It doesn't feel like a spring fresh rose to me. So that's, I feel like, the primary focus of this fragrance. We've also got the agarwood here, which is also another word for oud wood, which I feel like is probably a little bit more familiar to you. So if you've heard of oud wood, that's what we're talking about here. There is a sort of a slightly sweet woodsy tone in here as well. That kind of, I guess, is really the only piece here that feels house-like here to me for a cabin. But we do have a little bit of a sort of sweet wood in there. And, you know, the one thing here, guys, I think is either going to kind of make, maybe not make this fragrance for you, but it might break it for you, is it's taking on a very slightly, I guess, powdery tone, kind of in sort of the ballpark of that mature woman's perfume, mature woman's purse. It doesn't really feel perfumey to me per se, but it does have that sort of powdery tone to it at times. I feel like the longer it burns, like if you do a longer, more than a couple hour burn, I feel like that powderiness picks up a little bit. So if you are sensitive to those sort of powdery, kind of feminine type of fragrances, you might want to steer clear of this one. But, you know, for me, I can appreciate what it is. It's not exactly what I wanted it to be, but it is sort of unique. It does have that sort of witchy feel to it. And, you know, that rose element being sort of like almost a dead and dying rose is kind of cool. But, you know, for me, it's not something I would buy again. Despite the performance being pretty good. In terms of performance, the strength has been, I would say, on the medium to high range pretty much throughout this candle. It's been a noticeable presence in my house. I have an open concept space where my living room is open to my kitchen. The living room has very high ceilings, and this has been present in both of those rooms, which is kind of tough to do. It travels a little bit in terms of throw, down the hallways a little bit, you know, so I would say kind of in that medium to strong range in both in terms of strength and the actual throw. So if you like numbers, I'm thinking like maybe like a 7-8, somewhere in that ballpark, depending on if you're using a hurricane, you might be a little bit at the higher end. I did not use a hurricane for this, and I still feel like this was a solid 7, maybe an 8. But in terms of performance there, this has been good. The first burn was a little bit hot. I feel like each of these candles, each of the 12 candles, they all had a little bit of a hot first burn where I had to extinguish the wicks after about 2 hours, give them a trim, and then relight them for the rest of the burn. But past that, I feel like just your standard wick trimming those carbon ball formations at the end before you relight it, and just keeping an eye on your wicks, not letting it go super long. I feel like standard burning practices have kind of sufficed with this and really most of these. There's a few I haven't gotten too deep into yet, but for the most part, just watch that first burn. But after that, this has been pretty good to go. Getting nice, deep, even pools. I don't know if you can kind of see a little bit here. I'll try to turn it. But you can kind of see a nice, deep pool about the halfway point. But no issues there. It's not burning dirty or anything like that either. But yeah, I mean, that's my feelings on this one. I don't really think there's anything I can compare this to. Like, there's really nothing that smells like, to me. Also pointing out that this is not my wheelhouse. So there could be something out there that is similar, but I am not privy to it. It is not something that I would normally buy. But yeah, I mean, overall, like, I approve this. If you want something in that floral family, you're looking for something a little bit different in that floral earthy quality, you know, you might like this one. But if you're looking for something woodsy, this is not it. So that's just my take on it. This is subjective, but if you do decide to pick this one up, please let me know what you think of it. I'm always curious to see what you guys think of these conceptual scents. And, you know, remember, if you are shopping the launch, you can use my code Simply Scented if you want to get 15% off. And I do thank you if you choose to use that. So I hope that helps you decide if this is something that might be a good fit for you or not. Please leave a comment if you have any questions, or if you come back to this video after you make your purchase and want to, you know, chat about the fragrance, feel free to do so. But thank you guys for watching, and I'm looking to do, I think, my review for Abduction next, so stay tuned for that. If you want alerts for my upcoming reviews, make sure you subscribe. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, great night, whatever it is you're watching this video.